And we will start off the panel discussion with Ms. Elizabeth Nsimadala, who is the chairperson of PAFO, one of our farmers and obviously very critical in the success of any future COVID interventions. So Elizabeth, if you could come on. And don't forget to put your video. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, we can hear you very well. Please proceed.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Madam Jobe. And my name is Elizabeth Nsimadala, as already been introduced. I'm a young agripreneur, the president of the Pan-Africa Farmers Organization, and also the president of the Eastern Africa Farmers Federation. I would like to observe all the protocols and thank all the previous speakers for your submissions, and also Dr. Yemi for your excellent presentation of the issues paper. Again, I'll bring you greetings from PAFO. This is a continental platform representing voices of over 80 million family farmers from 49 countries that are members of over 70 national farmers organizations who are members of our 5 regional networks. And from our side, I would like to join my colleagues to reiterate our sincere condolences to the families who have lost their loved ones because of this pandemic, but also to urge our fellow citizens to continue respecting all the preventive measures. And when you look at the current statistics, over 91,000 cases have already been reported in Africa, and close to 3,000 deaths. And these are worrying figures to us, to Africa as a continent, and of course to the agriculture sector. And as again, area speakers had already alluded, COVID-19 has affected all the sectors, and agriculture has not been spared either. So I think it was area mentioned by Dr. Yemi again that this pandemic came in at a time when the continent was already struggling with other pandemics, I can say. And again, for example, to cite the East African region, you can see that the pandemic stepped in at the heels of the floods, of the locust invasion that had already left the agriculture sector on a drip. So as we are here speaking about, the second wave of COVID-19, in the Eastern region, for example, we are also again talking about the second wave of the locust invasion and of course other, pandemics. And it has already been, cited by FAO that the famine crisis is going to be more catastrophic after the COVID-19 era. But again, as mentioned by the previous speakers, COVID-19 is here to stay. We only need to learn how to live with this. All said, we need again to see the opportunities coming with this pandemic. From the agriculture perspective, I can gladly say that as farmers, I think nobody has lost their jobs. We are still on our farms, 100%. So we still have employment, not like other sectors where a majority of the workers have been laid down. And again, with, for example, the recent launch of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, I think this is also a very big opportunity for us as a continent. This should be a trigger to open all African borders so that we can be able to move food from the surplus regions to the deficit areas. And also, again, I think this should be a game changer where our countries should be able to allocate a bigger percentage to the agricultural sector, because this pandemic has proved to everyone that we need food, and food has to be available for everyone. Yes, the pandemic has disrupted all the supply chains, and all the value chains have been affected, right from the production up to the end of the chain. And speaking from the farmer's perspective, the pandemic set in at a time when we were preparing for the first seasons. And right from the input markets to the service markets to the to the output markets, the whole chain has been distorted. As farmers, we've not been able to access inputs. We've not been able to access fertilizers due to the lockdowns. When it comes to the services like extension, you all understand the extension environment of Africa. In some countries, it's been already a misery, where the ratio of extension workers to the farmers has been, I mean, over 1 to 1,500 and plus. Other services like mechanization, like irrigation, have also not been able to be accessed by the farmers. Then when it comes to the output markets, it's been a total mess. Due to the lockdown, food has not been able to be moved from the surplus regions to cities where it is needed. And this has led to increased food prices in the cities where food is needed, and to low prices in villages where food is produced. You cannot imagine that, for example, a case in Uganda right now, when you come to this region, the southwestern, the districts of Bushenyo, Vuntungamo, where personally I'm being locked down, the cost of a whole bunch of bananas is as low as $1. But again, in the city, it is more than 10 US dollars. And all that is because of the transport cost from the rural areas to, to the cities. Then again, when you look at the semi-urban enterprises that these urban dwellers have been involved in, like poultry, the prices have really gone down. A tray of eggs here, for example, has gone as low as less than $1 in the capital city, in Kampala. But it's because people have been locked down, people have lost their jobs, people don't have money to buy, such. And yet, the cost of feeds is increasing and increasing. So majority of the farmers have also lost have lost their animals, have lost their birds, because they cannot afford the feeds and all that. Again, what do we learn from all this and from what has already been presented? This is where I want to salute FARA and other regional research institutions for the researches that are available. We all understand that, yes, you've gone ahead in terms of coming up with the research in different varieties, in different, animal breeds and so on. But then, how do we move this research? How do we move the science from the laboratories to the farms? Because this is where research is needed. And due to this pandemic, the urgency is more than yesterday. And this is where, for example, as farmers during this period, we would want to see ourselves accessing improved varieties, fast maturing varieties, drought tolerant, pest tolerant varieties at this point in juncture. And this is where the issue of partnership comes in. Would like to see increased and improved synergies between the research institutions, between the extension, between the farmers, so that we can build a holistic approach of how we can move the science from the laboratories, to our farms. Again,
yes.
Am I clear? Am I still on?
Yes, you're clear. I was just asking if you could wrap up. so that we can move on to some of the other panelists. I don't want to interrupt your
Come
flow.
again?
I was asking if you could wrap up, if you could wrap up your comments. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Yes. I'm soon wrapping up. The second issue, I think it has already been mentioned, is just to emphasize the issue of digital innovations where we can aggregate virtually our farmers, where we can create whatever is produced, where we can aggregate the input, the service, and the out market, so that we can as well use this data to be able to influence policy at different levels. And then lastly is the issue of the post-agriculture fund. I'm happy that Dr. Maru Ifad mentioned about the Rural Poor Stimulus Facility Fund. But as farmers, we would want to see a clear approach of how we are going to access such kind of fund. Because based on what is happening with the COVID-19 and all the other climate change pandemics, these catastrophes are here with us. They are here to stay. So they will be coming as frequent as possible, and would like to see that allocation of such a fund is put in place, where we can always start to manage collateral damages that come with such kind of pandemics. With that, I beg to thank you guys for listening.
Thank you very much, Madam Nsimadala.